The stars were silent. For centuries, the Great Galactic Council had ruled in peace. Dozens of alien races worked together. They traded, they explored, they built shining cities on worlds of every color. The galaxy felt safe. But safety never lasts. Far beyond the known borders, an old enemy had awakened. They were called the Drak. No one knew their true shape. Some said they were shadows made of fire. Others said they were machines, built only for hunger and war. Whatever the truth, one fact was clear: the Drak destroyed everything in their path. Whole planets fell silent when the Drak arrived. Defenses collapsed. Armies burned. Refugees fled, but most never escaped. The Council grew desperate. Their fleets were strong, but not strong enough. Their people were brave, but fear spread faster than courage. One by one, member races spoke the words no leader ever wanted to say: "We cannot win this war alone." So the Council made a choice. They sent out a signal. A call for help. It was a transmission of light and sound, translated into 100 languages. It crossed the void between stars. It carried a message. To all civilizations who can hear this: the galaxy is in danger. The Drak have returned. We ask for allies. We ask for warriors. Stand with us, or we all will fall. The signal was sent again and again. It echoed across sectors, drifting through dark space. The Council waited. Days passed. Weeks passed. Replies came slowly. Some species heard the call but refused. They were too far, too weak, or too afraid. "The Drak cannot be stopped," they said. "If we fight, we will only die." Others answered with promises, but their voices were filled with doubt. Small fleets were pledged, but small fleets meant little against the endless swarm of the enemy. The Council grew restless. In the great chamber of stars, alien leaders argued. Tall beings with crystal skin shouted at scaled warriors from the desert worlds. Floating mines of gas hummed with worry while insect generals clashed their mandibles in frustration. "We are too weak," one leader cried. "We must retreat deeper into the core systems," said another. "No. We must fight to the last." The chamber filled with anger, fear, and despair. And then, something strange happened. A small light blinked on the central screen. A reply signal, from a world the Council barely remembered. A world considered primitive. The name of that world was Earth. At first, no one cared. Some even laughed. Earth was not a Council member. It was only a minor world, ignored by the great powers. Their technology was young, their ships small, their people unknown. But the signal was clear. It was a simple voice, carried across the void. "We received your call. This is humanity. We will come." The chamber grew silent. Council members leaned closer to their displays, confused. Humanity? Who were they to speak so boldly? The Council ordered a scan of Earth's records. Data appeared on glowing panels. The more they read, the more silent they became. Earth was a death world. Gravity heavier than most species could endure. Weather violent and deadly. Oceans filled with predators. Land covered with storms, quakes, fire, and ice. Almost every corner of the planet tried to kill its own children. And yet, the children survived. They were called humans. Born weak, without claws, without armor, without fangs. Yet they learned to hunt predators far larger than themselves. They made fire. They made weapons. They spread across every harsh place of their planet and called it home. War shaped them. Disease tested them. Disasters broke them, but never ended them. They rose again and again, like flames from ashes. The Council whispered to one another in disbelief. How can they survive such a place? One scholar answered with a single line. Perhaps that is why they are dangerous. But not all agreed. They are too young, one leader argued. Their ships are small. Their weapons are nothing compared to ours. Yes, said another, and yet they answered when others stayed silent. The debate grew louder. Some feared humanity would bring chaos. Others feared that if they did nothing, the galaxy would fall before the Drak. The chamber leader raised her hand. The room fell quiet. They have heard our call. They have chosen to stand with us. If they are reckless, we will guide them. If they are weak, we will strengthen them. But if they are strong—" She paused, eyes glowing like fire. "Then perhaps they are the allies we truly need." The decision was made. The Council would allow humanity to join the war. But still, doubt lingered. No one knew if the humans came as saviors, or as another disaster waiting to happen. And so the galaxy waited once more. Across the stars, fleets gathered, weapons armed, and fear grew heavy. The Drak were moving closer. Planets burned in their path. And in the quiet between battles, a small human fleet left Earth. Their ships were not shining. Their weapons were not the strongest. But their voices carried a strange power. Confidence. They did not speak like victims. They did not speak like the afraid. They spoke like predators. The Council remembered the words of the human message. Simple words, without fear. "We received your call. This is humanity. We will come." And in that moment, a strange thought passed through the minds of many leaders. Perhaps the galaxy had just called for allies. But what had answered was something far more dangerous. The human fleet was small compared to the vast armadas of the Council. Their ships were not shining crystal or living organisms of light. They were simple metal hulls, sharp-edged, built for war, not beauty. When the first images of those ships appeared in the Council chamber, many alien leaders shook their heads. "This is the species we are trusting," one hissed. "They look primitive. They look fragile." But some stayed quiet. Their eyes lingered on the scars carved into those human ships. The plating was patchwork. The weapons were not uniform. The design was rough, as if each part had been torn from the bones of another battle and welded back together. Those ships were not works of art. They were survivors. The Council ordered deep scans of Earth to learn more about these strange newcomers. The results only deepened the mystery. Earth was nothing like the homeworlds of the other Council races. Most worlds of the galaxy were gentle places. Their skies calm, their oceans steady. Dangerous predators were rare, and fragile species thrived. But Earth was violent. Storms of fire raged across continents. Freezing winters buried lands in ice. Mountains tore themselves open to vomit fire from the deep. Quakes shattered cities. Floods drowned valleys. The seas boiled with predators whose jaws could snap a human in half. On land, beasts ran faster, struck harder, and hunted better. And yet, humanity survived. No, they did more than survive. They thrived. The Council read through human history and trembled. Humans had faced hunger, and they made tools to hunt. They had faced beasts, and they fought back with sharpened sticks and fire. They had faced sickness, and though many died, the rest adapted, stronger than before. Time and time again, disaster fell. Time and time again, humanity rose. One alien scholar whispered in shock, "They are not shaped by safety. They are shaped by pain." The room fell silent at those words. Because it was true. Where other species evolved in comfort, humans had evolved in struggle. Their entire culture was forged in hardship. Their instincts were sharpened by constant threats. Their hearts were used to loss, but their spirits refused to break. This was why the Council began to whisper the word, Deathworlders. Deathworlders were species born from planets so dangerous, so violent, that survival itself was almost impossible. Few Deathworlders were known in history, because most never left their home planets. They were too wild, too unstable, too hostile. But humans were different. They had not only survived their death world. They had spread across it, claimed every corner, and called it home. And now, they were reaching for the stars. Some Council members felt fear. What if they are too violent? What if they turn their strength against us? Yes, another agreed. What if we have invited predators into our house? But others saw something else. They saw the fire in the humans' eyes when they spoke. They saw the scars across their ships and the confidence in their voices. They saw a people who did not bow to fear, who did not run from danger. And in that fire they saw hope. When the human fleet entered Council space, crowds gathered on alien stations to see them. At first, laughter spread. They are smaller than us, some said. Their armor is thin, others sneered. How can they fight the Drac with toys? But when humans stepped out of their ships, the laughter died. They did not move like prey. They walked with heavy steps, strong under gravity that would crush many council races. Their muscles tensed like coiled steel. Their eyes scanned every corner, sharp and unafraid. And when they spoke, their voices carried weight. "We heard your call," the human commander said. "We will fight with you. We will stand where others fall." Aliens whispered to each other, unsettled. They expected arrogance. Instead, they saw something stranger, calm confidence. It was not the roar of beasts. It was the steady voice of survivors. The council tested them, of course. They placed humans in simulations, battles of light and code. They expected humans to fail. Their ships were outdated, their weapons simple. But the results shocked them. Humans lost, yes. But they learned faster than anyone expected. Every failure was studied. Every mistake became a new tactic. Their minds shifted like rivers, flowing around problems, always searching for a way forward. One general whispered, "They adapt like no species I have ever seen." Another added, "They are dangerous because they do not stop." They never stop. The title spread quickly. Not just humans. Not just allies. Deathworlders. And with that title came both fear and respect. Because if humans could rise from such a world, what else were they capable of? The council watched closely. The galaxy whispered in secret. The Drac were coming, closer every day. Worlds burned in the outer rim. But now, there was something new in the war. A species no one had expected. A species born from storms, fire, and blood. A species called humanity. And as the humans sharpened their weapons and prepared for battle, the council asked themselves one final, silent question. When the time comes, will these Deathworlders save us? Or will they burn the galaxy in their own fire? The human fleet moved slowly through council space. Their ships were smaller, their engines older, their armor patched together. To the proud eyes of the galaxy, they looked unimpressive, like rusted knives among shining swords. But the closer the humans came, the quieter the laughter grew. There was something unsettling about the way their ships carried themselves. They flew in tight formation, no wasted movement, no drifting. Every turn was sharp, every engine burned precise. It was not beauty. It was discipline. The day of the first meeting came. The council chose their grandest station, a massive ring of crystal and steel orbiting a blue-white star. Delegates of every great race gathered inside the Hall of Echoes. It was a place built to impress. The walls shone with light. The ceiling curved like a galaxy above them, filled with shifting constellations. They had chosen this hall to show the humans their power, to remind them that the council was old, proud, and vast. But when the humans entered, the council received an unexpected reminder instead. The doors opened. The first humans stepped inside. They were taller than many had expected, heavier under the station's light gravity. Their muscles moved easily, their bodies adapted to weight most species would find crushing. Their eyes, strange, forward-facing predator eyes, scanned the room. Not with fear, not with arrogance, but with calm focus, as if every shadow might hide a threat. Some aliens looked away, unsettled. Others stared, unable to stop themselves. The human commander walked at the front. His uniform was plain, a simple gray with no jewels, no glowing medals. His face was marked by faint scars. When he reached the center of the hall, he bowed his head slightly, not too low, not too high. Just enough to show respect without weakness. And then he spoke. "We heard your call. We have come. We will stand with you." Simple words. Quiet words. But they carried weight that echoed through the hall. The council chamber fell silent. Many species had answered the call before, with long speeches, with promises painted in gold. But never had there been such calm confidence in so few words. The silence broke. A delegate with scales of polished green rose from his seat. His voice hissed through the hall. "You are humans. Primitive. Young. Your ships are weak. Your fleets are small. Why should we believe you can stand against the Drac when greater empires have already fallen? The words were sharp, a test. The hall waited for anger, for fear, for some sign that the humans would falter. But the commander only looked at him and said, "Because we have stood against worse. Because we do not run." The hall shifted, whispers spreading. The scaled delegate bared his teeth. Worse. What could be worse than the Drac? The commander's eyes grew colder. His answer was soft, but every translator in the hall carried the words clear. Our own history. The council froze. Images of humanity's record flickered in their minds. Wars that burned continents, weapons that scarred skies, empires that rose and fell in blood. And yet, through all that, humanity survived. One alien general, shaped like a creature of stone, leaned forward. His deep voice rumbled. And what do you seek, humans? Glory. Conquest. Why fight in a war that is not yours? The commander paused. His soldiers stood behind him, silent, their eyes steady. Then he answered, "Because you called. And because if the Drac win here, they will not stop. Sooner or later, they will come for us. Better to fight at your side, here and now, than to wait for fire to fall on our own world." There was no pride in his voice. No arrogance. Just truth. And that truth struck the chamber like a blade. For all their power, all their fleets, all their empires, the other species had hesitated. They had hidden, argued, delayed. But humanity had simply answered. The council leader rose from her throne, her cloak shining with threads of starlight. She studied the humans for a long moment. Then she spoke, her voice calm, measured. "You are brave. Perhaps too brave. But bravery alone does not win wars. You will fight with us, yes. But you must follow our commands. You will not act alone." The human commander bowed his head slightly. "We understand. We will fight as allies. But remember this, when the fire comes, we will not hesitate. Even if others do." The council leader narrowed her eyes, but she said nothing more. Around the chamber, alien whispers rose again. Some feared these humans. Others respected them. A few even admired them. But no one ignored them. Not anymore. The first meeting had ended, but the seed was planted. The galaxy had seen humanity. Small, fragile, primitive humans. And yet, when they spoke, their words carried the weight of survivors, of predators who had fought against a death world every day of their existence. The council dismissed them for now, but many knew the truth. When the Great War came, it might not be the shining fleets or ancient empires that decided the fate of the galaxy. It might be the Deathworlders. It might be the humans. The galaxy trembled. While the council debated and prepared, the Drac were already moving. Their fleets crossed the outer sectors like a storm of fire. Stars themselves seemed to dim when their ships arrived. No one knew exactly what the Drac were. Some survivors spoke of vast creatures of shadow, their bodies shifting like smoke and steel. Others claimed they were machines, cold and mindless, built only to kill. But the truth did not matter. What mattered was this: wherever they came, life ended. On the world of Teller 9, the sky turned black. Drac ships entered orbit, their shapes jagged and unnatural. They did not demand surrender. They did not speak. They simply rained destruction. Defenses fell within hours. Towers of glass and crystal shattered. Forests burned. Cities vanished in fire. By the time the council received the distress signal, Teller 9 was already gone. The chamber of the council filled with fear. Maps lit up with red as the Drac advanced from system to system. Some delegates begged for retreat. Others demanded more ships. A few even whispered of surrender. And in the middle of it all, the humans watched. The human commander stood silent, arms folded, as alien voices shouted around him. His soldiers sat with calm expressions, their eyes cold but steady. Finally, the commander spoke. "How many worlds have they taken already?" The council leader answered with a grim face. 5. Perhaps 6. Their advance is too fast. We cannot predict their path. The commander's jaw tightened. And how many fleets have faced them directly? 2. Both destroyed. The humans exchanged glances but did not flinch. One soldier leaned forward, his voice low but firm. "Then we need to fight them again. Immediately." The chamber erupted in outrage. "Madness!" one delegate shouted. "We will lose more fleets," cried another. "Do you want to throw lives away?" But the human commander shook his head. "Every battle teaches us something. Every loss shows us a weakness. The longer you wait, the more the Drak learn about you. You cannot hide. You cannot run. You must face them, again and again, until you find how to break them." The words fell heavy over the chamber. The council had expected fear from these newcomers. Instead, they heard a strategy born of hardship. It was not the way of empires. It was the way of survivors. The council leader leaned forward, studying the human commander. "And you think you can do better? That your small fleet can stand where ours have failed?" The commander's eyes were cold as stone. "We don't need to stand forever. We only need to learn. Once, twice, as many times as it takes. That is how we survive. That is how we win." The chamber fell into silence. At last, the council gave the humans what they asked, a chance. A joint mission, alongside alien ships, to intercept the Drak near the world of Veros. The galaxy held its breath. When the day came, the fleets gathered at the edge of the system. Alien ships gleamed with polished hulls, lined with energy weapons and shields. And among them, the human fleet looked small, scarred, and plain. Some aliens still mocked them. Others pitied them. But when the humans spoke over the comms, their voices were calm, steady, without fear. "Remember," the commander said, "they bleed like anything else. We only need to find how." Then the darkness came. The Drak fleet emerged from the void, black shapes sliding out of hyperspace. Their ships were jagged and alive, moving like predators. Energy lit their hulls like burning veins. Without a word, they attacked. The sky erupted with fire. Alien ships broke ranks almost at once, panicked by the ferocity of the Drak assault. Their shields shattered under the first wave of attacks. Explosions tore through the formation. But the humans did not break. Their ships darted in and out of the chaos, moving like wolves among giants. They fired weapons that seemed crude by galactic standards, yet every shot was deliberate, every strike aimed at joints, gaps, and shadows. The Drak were relentless. One human ship was torn apart in a single blast. Another caught fire, its hull splitting open. But even as they fell, their last transmissions sent warnings, coordinates, data. "Record everything," the commander ordered, his voice steady through the storm. "Every movement. Every strike. Learn their patterns." To the council fleet, it looked like madness. The humans fought recklessly, diving into enemy fire, striking where no one else dared. But in their chaos, there was purpose. Each time the Drak adapted, the humans shifted. Each time the enemy struck, the humans adjusted. Every second of survival was another piece of knowledge. At last, the commander gave the order, "Fall back. We've seen enough." The human fleet pulled away, battered but alive. Alien ships followed, limping, many destroyed. The Drak did not pursue. They had already claimed another victory. But for the first time, someone had faced them and returned with more than ashes. When the survivors regrouped, the council braced for grief. Instead, the humans stood tall, their ships scarred but their eyes shining with grim fire. The commander spoke with calm certainty. "Now we know how they fight. Next time, we'll do better. Next time, we'll make them bleed." The council watched in silence. They had seen bravery before. They had seen sacrifice before. But this was different. This was the voice of a species that did not fear death, because death had been their companion since the beginning. The galaxy had called for allies. What they had found were predators who had finally scented prey. The world of Veros still burned when the fleets gathered again. The council had rebuilt, reforged, and sworn to make a stand. But for many, fear still weighed heavier than steel. The Drak had not slowed. They were coming again, stronger than before. And this time, the humans would not simply test the enemy. They would fight. The council assembled its forces, glittering ships of every shape and size. Some were massive carriers, glowing like suns. Others were slender, sleek, built for speed and precision. Together, they formed a wall of light against the dark. And in the middle of them, the human fleet waited. Their ships were small, scarred from the last battle. Their hulls were patched, their engines growled like beasts. To the proud eyes of the galaxy, they looked weak, even pathetic. But the humans stood ready. The commander's voice spread across the comms. You all know what waits for us. You all know what they are. The Drak do not stop. They do not fear. They will keep coming until we teach them fear. And today, we will try. The alien crews listened, their hearts uneasy. They had heard speeches before, long, elegant speeches from their leaders. But this one was different. It was not beautiful. It was not polished. It was raw, simple, heavy. And it lit a spark in them. Then the Drak came. They tore into the system like a tide of darkness. Their ships slid from the void, jagged and alive, glowing with burning veins. They did not send demands. They did not hesitate. They attacked. The first wave struck hard. Alien shields cracked. Lines broke. Panic spread. But before the Council fleet could scatter, the humans moved. They charged forward. Not carefully, not with perfect formations, but with reckless courage. Their ships cut across the battlefield like knives, diving straight into the heart of the enemy. Alien commanders cried out in shock. They're insane. They'll be destroyed. But the humans did not care. Their weapons blazed. Railguns fired slugs at impossible speeds. Missiles streaked like falling stars. Energy beams sliced through Drak armor. Every shot was aimed not at random, but at weak points the humans had learned in the first clash. For the first time, Drak ships faltered. The Council fleets, stunned, began to follow. They regrouped, forming new lines behind the humans' reckless advance. But the Drak struck back. A blast of burning energy split through the field. A human destroyer took the hit. Its hull cracked, flames spilling into the void. The ship did not retreat. Instead, it accelerated, engines burning bright. Straight into the enemy line. The crew's last message echoed across the comms, for the fleet. And then the destroyer rammed a Drak warship. The explosion lit the system like a second star. Both ships vanished in fire. The Council fleets gasped. They had seen sacrifice before, but never like this. Never so deliberate. Never so fearless. The human commander's voice came again, steady as stone. Record everything. Every strike. Every weakness. They can bleed. Don't forget it. The battle raged on. The Drak outnumbered them. Their firepower was overwhelming. But the humans refused to break. Each ship that fell passed its knowledge to the others. Each loss bought time, bought space, bought lessons. And slowly, impossibly, the tide began to shift. The Council fleets, inspired by human madness, found new courage. Ships that had once scattered now stood their ground. They fought harder, fiercer. For the first time, the galaxy's great races fought not with fear, but with fire. And still the humans pressed forward. One by one, their ships lit the void with sacrifice. A frigate, surrounded and burning, launched its final salvo point-blank into a Drak cruiser. A damaged corvette spun out of control, but turned its fall into a weapon, crashing into an enemy carrier. Each death was not the end, but a strike carved deep into the enemy. At last, the Drak hesitated. It was small, almost invisible. But the humans saw it. A pause in their advance. A shift in their lines. The predators had felt pain. The commander's voice cut through the silence. That's it. They bleed. Push them. The fleets roared forward, alien and human together. For the first time, the Drak did not advance. For the first time, they pulled back. When the battle ended, the system of Veros was not safe. It was a graveyard of burning wreckage, shattered ships drifting in silence. Thousands were dead. The humans had lost more than half their fleet. But for the first time in memory, the Drak had retreated. The Council fleets gathered the survivors. Broken ships limped into formation. Cries of mourning filled the comms. And then, something else. Something strange. Cheering. It began with the humans, battered and bloodied, raising their voices not in grief, but in triumph. The aliens joined, one by one, their fear burned away by the fire of battle. They had not won a great victory, but they had done the impossible. They had stood against the Drak. The council leaders, watching from afar, whispered among themselves. "We called for allies, and we found Deathworlders." "No," another corrected. "We found warriors." And in the silence after the battle, the humans prepared for the next fight. They had lost much, but their eyes still burned with that strange, terrifying fire. Because to them, this was only the beginning. The graveyard of Veros drifted in silence. Shattered ships floated like ghosts, their broken hulls glinting against the star. Fires still burned on what was left of the planet. The air was heavy with loss. But in that silence, something new was born. Hope. For the first time, the Drak had pulled back. Not destroyed, not defeated, but pushed away. The galaxy had seen them hesitate. And that small hesitation was enough to change everything. The council held an emergency session. Leaders from every race crowded the chamber, voices raised in heated debate. "We cannot rely on chance," cried one. "The humans are reckless. They waste lives," shouted another. "Yes," a third replied, "but their recklessness worked." The chamber erupted with arguments, but underneath the noise, one truth could not be denied. Humanity had given the galaxy its first glimpse of victory. The human commander stood at the center of the storm. He was calm, his face carved from stone. His uniform was torn, his body bruised, but his eyes were sharp. "We showed you the Drak can be hurt," he said simply. "Now we must show them they can be beaten." The council demanded to know how. The commander gave a grim smile. "The same way we always survive. We adapt." From that day, everything changed. The humans shared what they had learned, the patterns of Drak movement, the weaknesses in their armor, the strange rhythm of their attacks. They showed recordings of every sacrifice, every strike, every moment the Drak had faltered. The aliens studied the data in silence. For centuries, they had fought with caution, with rules, with pride. Now they watched the humans fight like cornered predators, willing to risk everything to win a single moment. Slowly, the lesson sank in. The galaxy began to adapt. The next battle was different. This time, when the Drak appeared, the alien fleets did not scatter. They did not panic. They followed the humans. The humans charged first, reckless as always. But now, alien ships charged with them. Species that had once hidden behind shields now dove into the fire. They struck fast, hard, and unexpected. And again, the Drak hesitated. The war was changing. But the price was heavy. One human ship, the Iron Will, fought until it had no weapons left. Surrounded, burning, the crew refused to abandon ship. They turned their vessel into a weapon, crashing it into the heart of a Drak flagship. The explosion ripped the monster apart, tearing half the enemy line with it. When news of the sacrifice spread, the galaxy wept. But the humans did not weep. They honored the dead, yes. But they also smiled. Because every loss was not just death. It was a lesson. A victory. A step forward. The council could not understand this at first. "Why do you not grieve?" one leader demanded of the human commander. "So many of your people are gone." The commander's voice was quiet, but sharp. "We do grieve. But grief does not stop us. It fuels us. Every name we lose is another reason to fight harder." The chamber fell silent. The aliens began to see what made the humans different. It was not just their strength. It was not just their fire. It was their refusal to stop. Weeks passed. Battles burned across the stars. Each time, the humans fought at the front. Each time, the council fleets grew braver, sharper, stronger. And then, something happened no one expected. A Drak fleet was destroyed. Not just pushed back, not just stalled, destroyed. The news spread like wildfire. For the first time, the word victory was spoken without shame. On alien worlds, crowds filled the streets. They cheered, they sang, they raised their voices to the skies. For the first time in generations, hope was stronger than fear. And at the center of it all stood humanity. The council leader summoned the human commander privately. She studied him in silence for a long time. Then she said, "You have changed the war." The commander shook his head. "No. The Drak are still stronger. We have only shown that strength is not everything." "Then what is everything?" she asked. He answered with a predator's calm. "The will to fight until there is nothing left." The leader stared at him, unsettled. For in that moment, she understood why Deathworlders were so feared. They were not stronger. They were not smarter. They were simply relentless. The turning point had come. The Drak were no longer untouchable. They could be hurt. They could be beaten. But the galaxy also realized something else. Humanity was not just an ally. Humanity was a fire. A dangerous, uncontrollable fire. The council whispered in secret chambers. "What if we cannot control them? What if their fire burns us too?" But others whispered back. "Better their fire with us than against us." And so the galaxy prepared for the greatest battles yet to come. The Drak had awakened. But so had something else. The Deathworlders. The humans. And the galaxy would never be the same.